Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled to welcome to our webinar. The webinar will last for about an hour. My name is Yerkin Abduraimov and I'll be your host for this session. I'm not alone. I'll be hosting this webinar along with my amazing colleagues who are working behind the scenes to ensure everything runs smoothly. I'd like also to introduce my colleague Nadra Kushpakova, who will be moderating the chat box throughout the session. If you have any comments, reflections, or feel free drop them in the chat, and Nadra will be there to assist you. Nadra will also be facilitating our Q&A session toward the end of the webinar. So please keep your questions coming as we go along. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. Now, before we dive in, just a quick reminder to keep your microphones muted unless invited to speak, and feel free to use the chat box to engage and connect with others. Now it's time to introduce our presenter, Muborak Hazratkulova. Muborak Hazratkulova from Uzbekistan has been working in secondary and higher education as an English tutor and teacher trainer. Please, can you please turn off your microphone? Muborak Hazratkulova from Uzbekistan has been working in secondary and higher education as an English teacher and teacher trainer for 23 years. She holds a bachelor's degree in English language and a master's degree in TESOL from Webster University in Tashkent. Additionally, she was elected as a co-trainer for RPM's regional peer mentors in the ESN program by American councils and obtained a TESOL certification from the American TESOL International Association. As a co-trainer, she equipped RPMS with strategies for designing engaging student-centered lessons that emphasize active participation and critical thinking. In 2024, she won the Fulbright T Scholarship and completed a 2-month professional program.
Could you please
at the University
the
of
microphone?
Colorado in the United States. She's also passionate about online courses and has completed the TESOL methodology open course offered by US Embassy. Welcome, dear Mubarak. The floor is yours.
Might be you yourself, yes, mute that Ganjametri who is talking.
Yes.
Yeah, Mubarak, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yerkin, could you please mute everybody?
I have muted. Mubarak, you can go on.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, dear and dedicated educators. It is great honor to be invited here and to be with you here. First of all, I'd like to express my deep gratitude to the organizers of this event, to Mr. Yerkin and also Ms. Nadra Kushpakova and their endeavors and great effort to promote language learning and teaching. It is much appreciated. Thank you so much. Yerkin, can I start by introducing myself, my teaching journey?
Yeah, you can share the screen. I'll allow you to do it. Okay.
To share my
you can share this. Yeah.
It is not allowed. It says.
No, there should be the like. Oh, now you did.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Now you can.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Thank you. Uh, so I've been teaching an English language as an English teacher for more than 23 years. And I started my teaching career at secondary school in the distant part of Uzbekistan, in southern part. And at that time, my teaching was especially based on grammar translation methods. And the stepping stone that changed my career path and also teaching approach that was open course. And thanks to open course, I've learned a lot at that time. And I realized that language learning is not just learning by heart or memorizing the grammar rules, but also communicating it effectively. And so since that time, I tried to change my teaching approach, and this interest led me to different career ladders or different places to promote, to learn English and teach English. About more than 20 years, I worked as an English teacher at secondary school. Sometimes I worked for a short time the school administration, and after that, nowadays I work at university in Karachi city, and I am an independent researcher on linguistics. And last year, I won Fulbright scholarship, and I've been in Colorado State and Northern Colorado University, and where I learned how to integrate technology into the classrooms and new teaching approaches. That was great honor, and they were a lot of memorable events. And now I'm going to share with you some of my uh, expertise I learned throughout this journey. And first of all, today we'll explore what's feedback and assessment and how to use in the classrooms. And to make this webinar more interactive, I'd like to ask one question, and you can send the answers to the chat box, or you can turn on the microphone. It's up to you. Think about the last time you gave a student feedback, and did it inspire real change, or did it somehow seem to make no difference? As we know that feedback is the main component of a lesson, and so it's very important. Sometimes students can be discouraged or encouraged by teachers' feedback, and that's why. Have you experienced this situation? Could
Yes.
you share?
Yeah, please, dear participants, you can answer the question in the chat box, and Nadra, our chat moderator, will be the check and will answer your comments. So please.
Good evening. It's Andrea from Uzbekistan. I want to answer the question. Do you listen me? Can you listen me?
Angela, would you like to say something related to the question?
Yes, I would like to answer the question.
Yeah, please.
So,
And the value, you can volume up the voice is a little bit, is not audible.
no. Can you listen me well?
Now we can hear you, but the voice is not so audible.
Okay. Then I'm going to write in the chat box.
Angela is going to send in the chat box.
Okay, great. Do please. Yeah. Our our moderator Nadra will then read your responses. Dear colleagues, if you have some technical problems, please feel free to share your answers in the chat box.
Oh, we have answer from Gulnara Abdieva. She said, I always give constructive feedback to my students for their writing tasks, project works, and presentations. I use rubrics and color pens for writings. It helps my students to improve.
It's great answer because presenting the criteria to the students, it is like mirror, and students learn what to do, how to do, and where they are going, and it is great too.
And the message from Gulruh Ahmadalieva. The last time I gave a student feedback, I made sure it was specific, constructive, and encouraging. I noticed that the student became more confident and started applying the suggestions in their work, which showed real improvement. It reminded me how powerful, meaningful feedback can be when it is clear and motivating. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Great answers here. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry, I have here noise with my daughter, and I wrote it to the chat.
And from
My feedback.
Dinara, she said it's an important part of the lesson to give feedback. It gives them to realize how they have been participate at the lesson and motivate them to take part in the lesson next time. Thank you, Dinara.
Yeah.
That's great. Great answer.
Thank you so much, dear teachers. And so all the answers are correct. So let me introduce today's agenda. And the first thing we are gonna discuss strategic corrective feedback overview. As you mentioned, some of the teachers mentioned corrective feedback, and they are already using it. Feedback on student writing, feedback on student speaking, and some types of assessment that I always use in my classes. I'm going to present one scenario, and here maybe most of the teachers come across this kind of situation. Have you ever read a student essay that's really well done? And the context is excellent. The essay is well organized and cohesive. There is at least one error in every sentence. Some errors are grammar, some are vocabulary, some are spelling, some are connectors and transitions. How do you decide what to correct? Do you correct everything? Risk shutting down the student. Should you focus on form or meaning or both? How do you choose? How will you know your corrections will contribute to the student learning? And I've been in that situation myself several times, and it requires to be very, very careful from the teachers because, as I mentioned before, we may discourage students by giving feedback unconsciously, and that's why I'm sure many of you have too. Giving feedback to students is something of an art. I 100% agree with this statement. It is an art of lesson. And as teachers, we can make thoughtful, informed decisions about the amount and type of feedback we provide. So today we will discuss and answer these questions throughout this webinar. So, first of all, feedback should be constructive. as you mentioned, dear educators, it should be constructive. It should help. It is not only the evaluative tool that helps students where they are, and also feedback should, assessment and feedback should guide the students where to go and how to go as well. And it should be also specific. And for example, good job or well done. Using this several times repetitively can go to deaf ears, and they don't pay attention next time to this sentence because these expressions may lose meaning if it is not specific. We should point out where the mistake by using different strategies we are going to discuss today. And also, it should be immediate. For example, if we assess writing, at least it should take 1 or 2 days, not more, because students may forget their mistakes, or it may lose the importance after some time. That's why it should be immediate. And also, it should be balanced. It is important to address mistakes, but you should keep the balance between the improvements and the mistakes as well. So, first of all, I'm going to apply the expression corrective feedback. What is it? One way of assessing our students. As you can see here in the image, I think we should does this. The student is using this statement, and the teacher is thinking this is grammar mistake. And how can we correct this mistake? It should be timely, or it should be after some time. And we should think the content, or is it content-based lesson, or is it grammar lesson? Is it pronunciation lesson? And it should be, feedback also should be relevant to the type of lesson as well. How can corrective feedback be strategic? We should think about our responses. We are intentional about our response. Stay focused, targeted, or specific. Choose what to correct. Decide how and when to correct. Be kind and empowering. This means that feedback should construct the knowledge students are gaining, and it should encourage all the students how to learn. And teachers also think about what to correct and when and how. This is very important. And if we move to the next slide, why it is important to use corrective feedback. For example, there are many different ways of using corrective feedback. As you see here, this is great writing. The teacher is saying, here is how you can make it better. And teacher is at first emphasizing the achievement of the student, and after that he is showing his mistakes by some special expressions, not directly addressing the mistakes. And also, errors are common in language learning, and we should make sure that students are all know that in the classroom, making mistakes are okay. And for example, the sandwich technique. It is common technique all around the world. I don't think that any of us don't know this technique, and everybody use this technique. It is very efficient. I mostly use this technique because students, when they make mistakes, they can be frightened, and they can be hesitated. The next time when I ask the question, they don't answer. So in my content at university, there are some students who is a lower level, and they are grouped in their levels, and I use sandwich technique with lower level students. And so Yerkin, am I audible? Yerkin, I am speaking.
Yes.
Thank you. So, I experienced this several times. A couple of months ago, my students were beginners and they were so afraid of expressing their thoughts. Maybe it is my appearance, and then when
Sorry, Mubarak. Yes, you are
uh,
audible. Yes, you are audible. I didn't turn on my microphone. You are audible. Yes, yes, I was checking.
uh-huh.
There's some
Okay.
announcements that
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do at the end of the webinar. Yeah, this sandwich technique is very great. Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not mistaken, I have shared the sandwich technique on the Open Central Asia, on the Open main COP. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Go on.
It is so as it's written here. At first, we should mention their achievements. You've mastered the present tense very well. However, we should start with however, there is still some work to be done on the past tense. But overall, I can see significant progress from last month. And it requires great effort from the teachers. I know this. And so it requires patience. Every time it is difficult for the students, for the teachers to mention that you are doing well and but you should do this. And they comparing their achievements from last month to this month. But it gives, believe me, it is effective. I used this in my experience several times. Mhm. Moving on to the next slide. What's connection between constructive feedback and theory? Noticing hypothesis, it says here, students must notice the correction. If we say, well done, good job, they don't notice the correction. And it is just generic. And so that's why we should be specific and they should know where they are making mistakes. And then comprehensible input. Correction must be within students' ability to understand. Yeah, it is very important that the expressions we are giving to students, the feedback we are using in the classroom should be the student level and their age appropriate or level appropriate. And it is very important to comprehend the feedback as well. And in the next slide, if we integrate theory into practice, students need an opportunity to note, think, and self-correct. Pay attention to the order of the effects of the feedback. At first, they need to notice that they are making mistakes and then think what mistakes they are making. And then we should give them chance to self-correct. It leads to long-term memory. And long-term memory, in turn, cause long-term learning. And how can we do this? For example, there are three types of corrective feedback. Direct feedback, most of the teachers use this, and it is very easy. Sometimes we need them. And indirect feedback and meta-linguistic feedback. Meta means thinking, reasoning, and it is cognition. We make students think about their mistakes and give them chance to find their mistakes themselves. And we will explore each of the feedback type here. What difference do you see between direct and indirect corrective feedback? Direct corrective feedback here. This town student is writing, this town have many park. That town not have many park. It is for beginner level, especially many students write like this. And if we give direct feedback, we just write the correct answer. And most of the teachers use this technique, and it is a bit easier. But indirect corrective feedback, we may highlight the mistakes and ask the students themselves to correct their sentence. And the next one is meta-linguistic written corrective feedback. For example, for this sentence, we can use different strategy. For example, for have, we can say, should it be singular or plural? We may ask the students to think about their mistakes, and sometimes they know the grammar rules, but when it comes to practice, they can be confused. And that's why we can just remind them where their mistakes. They know this knowledge. If we correct this directly, the next time they repeat these mistakes again. And many is followed by the plural. Or remember last week when we talked about negation. And this all makes them to think about their experience and their knowledge and their expertise they gained during the previous lessons. So when it comes to comparing types of written corrective feedback, direct, I came to cook dinner tonight. A student may write like this. Teacher corrects error for the student. In indirect, I came to cook dinner tonight. It is just highlighted. Students should identify the mistake. And in meta-linguistic way, it is a bit challenging and it requires a lot of time from the students to write notes. What form of the verb follows can? We can write here. And teacher suggests the language needed to make corrections. So best practice for corrective feedback on student writing. It is important to build relationship with students first. Students will be more accepting of written feedback. So it is, as we know, it is very important to build a good relationship with students. And if it should be, as we used in sandwich technique, it shouldn't insult students and it shouldn't make them upset and hate writing. And as we know, writing is a bit difficult process to learn, and that's why it requires teachers to be patient and give corrective feedback until they master this skill effectively. And next one, make informed strategic choice about what to correct. Correct anything not understandable. Grammar, spelling, meaning, or discourse. And consider text. Is it grammar lesson? Is it vocabulary lesson? Is it content lesson? It is very important to consider the types of the lesson. If it is content lesson, we don't need to always make corrections in for grammar mistakes. And sometimes I also unconsciously sometimes, to be honest, use corrections while they are speaking. And because I think, Nadira, it is in our blood, I cannot change this sometimes. So I always keep myself silent when they are speaking. If it is content lesson, I let them make grammar mistakes. And if it is grammar lesson, at the end of the lesson, I will generalize feedback. And so I don't name them, or they can be shy or they can hesitate next time. They can be frightened to use grammar rules in their speech. That's why I don't use their names, but show their mistakes in general. And how about in speaking? How can we give corrective feedback? As we mentioned here, in writing, let's recap writing. Could you tell me what 3 strategies should we use?
Yes, please.
For writing.
For writing.
I've talked a lot and I'm just asking them if they have heard my sentence or is it understandable for them?
Yes, please, dear participants, you can share your answers in the chat box, or you can raise your hands to speak up, and unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, let's make it interactive because we are here to share our experience with each other. And I mention one more time, thank you so much. It is direct feedback, indirect feedback, and metalinguistic feedback for writing. And let's move on to the speaking feedback, how it happens and what types are there. 3 focus for today, recast correction. I think most of the teachers use recast correction and direct correction and metalinguistic correction and strategic correction. We'll explore each of them. When it comes to recasts, as you see here, the communication between teacher and student. Student is saying, I have 10 years old, maybe he's saying his age. And the teacher is not correcting the mistake and just emotionally repeating this statement. You are 10 years old. Oh, it's awesome. And students realize that he used the incorrect verb here, and next time he used it is. I think it is good technique. But it is said that here results in less self-correction. Most often the students does not notice the recast. Less long-term learning it leads. And the next one, direct correction. I have 10 years, and the teacher is saying, in English, we say, I am 10 years old. And it is very common, and students may notice it, and there is no self-correction, and students may easily forget about that for the next time. And then it also hinders them to use, to speak. So they can hesitate to express their ideas. And that's why I don't use this direct correction, and I don't think it is efficient.
So, but anyway, let me interrupt you, Mubarak. Do you think most of the teachers use direct correction method?
I'm not sure about other countries, but when it comes to Uzbekistan, I can say yes. So I've been teacher trainer for many years, and I observed their lessons, and they often use direct correction. And that's the main reason I think most of the students lack communication in English. And when I went to the US, we went to the secondary school, and then we observed a lot of lessons. They never use direct correction, never ever. They only use meta-linguistic correction. I was amazed by that, and I mentioned myself 100 times at that time, and that's why it is US. And so teachers always give the chance to students to correct their mistakes. And it is not the end of the world if they make mistakes. Sometimes we may get upset if we teach 45 minutes grammar rules or standing at the center of the lesson and speaking a lot, teaching a lot to students, but after all, they make again mistakes, and this makes us upset, especially in Central Asian countries. But in the US, it is different. The students are given chance to correct their mistakes, to discover by making mistakes, they discover the new topic themselves.
Great. Thank you.
It is quite different.
Yes,
Uh,
we have, I'm sorry, we have three messages from our colleagues. Jamal said the previous question, direct, indirect, and metalinguistic.
uh-huh.
And the Burulson said, I use codes in error checkings, writing, and students rewrite them, and they get some bonus points too.
Mm.
And from Dinara, she said, when a student gives me his task to check, I just say their 2 of 4 sentences are correct. If you find your mistakes, I will give excellent mark. Then the student tries to find his mistake, rereads the rule, and at the end, he realizes. Yes, thank you, Dinara.
Mhm.
Brulson and Jamal.
Yeah, great ideas. Thank you so much. And they've already using metalinguistic corrective feedback. As we can see here, teacher points out the error and the student self-corrects it. I have 10 years. How do we say our age in English? And the teacher is making the student to think how to say it. And remember from yesterday's class, is it I have 10 years or I am 10 years old? And there it's happening in the brain of the students. He is noticing his mistake and he is self-correcting. And this leads to long-term learning. And long-term learning in turn leads to long-term memory. They never forget if they correct their mistakes by noticing themselves. Comparing types of spoken corrective feedback. As we mentioned here, the first method is recast. The teacher corrects the error for the student, but does not clearly point out the student has made an error. And it can be unnoticeable. I also used this method several times, but students always don't notice this. And direct math, the teacher identifies the error and corrects it for the students. And in metalinguistic, as we mentioned, and the teacher identifies the error, suggests the language needed to make the correction. What form of the verb follows can? So, so it is very important to be, as I mentioned, to be very careful from the teachers. Overcorrecting may lead to discourage of the students to learn language. They can say it is not for me to learn the language. It is not for me. I experienced this several times, and not with me, but sometimes when I encourage them to speak, they say that I make mistakes because this teacher told me that I make a lot of grammar mistakes. And that's why we need to avoid giving direct feedback to students while they are speaking. For example, if they say, I want, we directly interrupt them. It is pronounced want, say it, want. And to major or again, if we interrupt him or her, And they may say, I'm never going to talk in the class again. And this may stop their communication, not only to learn language, but also this may limit their communication with the students, with other students. It may affect teamwork, and it may affect to their language learning, and it's very important. So I'd like to show the reference here. I used all these resources. They are very great resources. Most of them are American English resources. So at the end of my speech, I can say that, remember, good feedback doesn't just correct mistakes. It builds confidence, skill, and motivation. We are not just teaching them the language units, but also we may change their personality by teaching English language, other countries' culture, and their traditions. By comparing them, we may help them to increase their metacognitive skills as well. Thank you for being part of today's session.
Well,
Can I
Thank you.
stop sharing?
would you like to stop sharing? The
Uh-huh.
Thank you
Yes,
for your
yes.
speech. Can you share your with your presentation?
Yes, sure.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would be
that-
happy if it is useful.
yeah, that was great, Mubarak. That was great. We are so happy to have you today. And it's
Thank you so
and
much.
we have like a lot of participants come to our webinar to hear and to know a lot from you. And you have shared a lot of things today. So Nadira, do we have any questions in the chat box to address to the presenter?
Yes, we have two messages from Gulnara Abdieva. I'm going to read her message.
Yes, please.
I think direct
Participants, dear participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to share them in the chat box, and Nadira will address them to the presenter.
Mhm.
Gulnara said, I think direct correction in writing can be used for the young learners, but not using red pen in oral answers. Meta-language correction is used. And also, she said, higher grades needs meta-linguistic and discussion individually if students have a real problem in writings in order he or she realized their own errors. I also use stickers while students present their work with rubrics. Great.
Mhm. Yeah.
And Tatiana sent her question. Do you use infographics, symbols to correct?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I use it can be as also very interesting for students. I use infographics or symbols for general feedback. Because it is, time consuming, and I cannot make infographics for each of the students. And that's why at the end of the lesson, as I mentioned, if I want to give generic feedback, I use one infographic or symbols, some kind of symbols to correct.
Great answers from Mubarak.
And question from Gulnara, she asked, do your students submit real written tasks? How do you assess in this case?
Yes, sure. Sometimes I use peer feedback as well. So I use this technique. And so if I highlight, I may, in the lesson, I may ask them to correct each other's feedback. After highlighted parts are corrected, I ask their partners to check if they corrected mistakes or not. And then after all, we will discuss all the mistakes together. And sometimes when I get there, when I submit for the next task, I double check or double assess their work.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mubarak, for sharing your expertise and experience with us. So, dear participants, if you have any questions, you can share them on our Facebook page under the post, and Mubarak will answer the questions there. Answer your questions there. So now let me do some announcements.
Your voice can't be audible. We can't hear you.
Looking ahead to May, we have powerful line of webinars. First, Fajaruddin Akbar from Indonesia will present on exploiting generative AI, creating personalized lesson materials, a practical and exciting session for any teacher wanting to personalize their instruction using generative AI. Then on May 26th, join us for another special webinar featuring Jumadullah Khairullayev, who will bring fresh energy with fun icebreakers in English classes. This session will be packed with creative ideas to kick off your lessons with joy and connection. And finally, we wrap up the month with our May guest expert, Burulsun Ayılchiva from Kyrgyzstan, who will be presenting on instructional methods and classroom techniques, cognitive approaches, a deep dive into effective and brain-friendly teaching practices. And remember, dear participants, you can also be part of these exciting segments. Applications are open for November and December. If you have idea, experience, or strategy to share, start preparing now. And don't forget to follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we have our own WhatsApp channel to stay updated, catch replays, and connect with our vibrant teaching community. Let's learn, grow, and inspire together.
Yerkin, can you send these links?
Sorry, Guru.
Can you send these links?
Yes, Nadra is sharing the links in the chat box. So feel free to join our pages and channels. WhatsApp group if you are an open alum. So feel free to apply for these segments, and you can also present in November and December. As for September and October, we are ready. So the webinars are set. So great. Dear Mubarak, Hazratkulova, thank you again. You've done a great job to sharing your experience and expertise with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see you again someday to be our presenter with other topics.
Yeah.
Dear participants, thank you for joining. See you next time. See you in May, as we have a lot of webinars in May. Bye.
See you. Bye. See you.
Bye. Thank you, dear educators.
Thank you, Mubarak.